A serious change is about to hit millions of South African households, and it's coming faster than most people realize. Starting July 15, the South African Social Security Agency, SASS, is enforcing new rules that could lead to thousands of families losing their grants, especially if they're not fully compliant with the updated requirements. This isn't just another policy shift. It's a nationwide crackdown aimed at curbing fraud, duplicate applications, and misuse of social assistance funds. But here's the concern. Honest, law-abiding families, especially vulnerable pensioners, could end up caught in the middle simply because they don't understand what's changing or haven't received clear guidance. If you or someone in your family relies on an older person's grant, disability grant, child support grant, or any other SASSA payment, now is the time to listen very carefully. The new regulations require reverification of beneficiaries, stricter checks on household income, and tighter rules around who qualifies as a dependent. If any of your documents are outdated, or if your circumstances have changed even slightly, you could be flagged for review, and your grant may be suspended while SASSA conducts an investigation. We're talking about real consequences here: missed payments, delayed appeals, or in some cases, complete removal from the grant system. And with the cost of living skyrocketing, especially for seniors living on fixed incomes, every rand matters. In this video, we break down exactly what the new rules mean, who is most at risk, what documents you must update before July 15, and how to protect your grant from being stopped or reduced. We'll also look at the truth behind the so-called crackdown. Is it really about fraud, or is there something deeper at play? Stay with us. This might be the most important update you hear all year. So let's dive into what's really happening behind this major shift. Starting from July 15, SASSA will be implementing a new verification process that could have far-reaching consequences for beneficiaries, especially for older South Africans who have come to depend on these grants to survive month to month. It's no exaggeration to say that this update has caused a stir in communities all across the country. The truth is, many people are hearing rumors and half-truths about who is getting cut off and why, but very few actually understand the core of the new regulations. At the center of this move is something called the means test. Now, if you've been receiving a grant from SASSA for a while, you're probably already familiar with this. The means test is essentially the government's way of determining whether you still qualify for assistance based on your income and assets. But what's different this time is how strict the assessment will be. SASSA is now taking a closer look not only at your own income and financial situation, but also that of the people you live with, especially adult children or other relatives who may be earning money. In practical terms, this means that if your adult son or daughter moves back into your home because they lost their job, something that's becoming more and more common in this economy, their presence and income could now impact your eligibility. Previously, there was some leniency or unclear enforcement in cases like these, but starting July 15, officials will be instructed to evaluate household income more comprehensively. This includes checking bank accounts, employment status, and even assets like vehicles or property ownership. Understandably, this has caused fear among families who are already under pressure. Many of our elders are housing their unemployed children and even grandchildren, not out of choice, but because that's what family does. You support each other. Unfortunately, under these new rules, that very act of kindness might be interpreted as a change in your financial situation, enough to disqualify you from continuing to receive your grant. Now, what's also troubling is how quietly these changes have been communicated. While SASSA has made announcements through their website and some media channels, a huge portion of the population, especially in rural areas and townships, have been left in the dark. Many pensioners don't have easy access to online information. They rely on word of mouth, community meetings, or radio announcements. So you can imagine the shock people feel when they suddenly get a message saying their grant is being reviewed, suspended, or worse, stopped altogether. That's why we need to talk about documentation. If there's one thing you take away from this video, it's that your paperwork matters now more than ever. Make sure your ID is up to date. Make sure your proof of address is recent and correct. If you've changed banks, update your banking details immediately. If your household circumstances have changed, for example, if someone moved in or out, or if someone in the house got a job, you must report it to SASSA proactively. Waiting until they catch it can lead to accusations of fraud or misrepresentation, which can carry heavy penalties, including being banned from applying again for months or even years. Another area where we're seeing problems is with people who are receiving grants for children, especially grandparents who are looking after grandchildren while the parents are absent or working in another province. In some cases, SASSA is now requesting updated guardianship papers or affidavits confirming that the child is still in your care. If you don't respond to these requests in time, your child support grant could be suspended until the matter is resolved. And as we all know, getting anything sorted with government paperwork can take weeks, even months, all while you're going without that essential income. The timing of this crackdown is especially tough. We're already in a time where inflation is eating away at the value of every rand. Food prices have skyrocketed, and basic services like electricity and transport continue to rise. So when SASSA decides to enforce these changes now, it hits the most vulnerable the hardest. Many seniors are already choosing between buying medicine or food, and now they have to worry about paperwork and bureaucratic hurdles too. What's even more frustrating for many people is the feeling that these rules are being enforced unevenly. In some areas, people are reporting that they've been asked to verify their information or attend interviews with social workers. In others, beneficiaries say they've heard nothing at all. This inconsistency creates confusion and anxiety. No one knows who's safe and who's next. And when the stakes are this high, when your only source of income is on the line, uncertainty becomes a form of torture. But we also have to talk about fraud, because that's what SASSA is using to justify this entire operation. They claim that too many people are receiving grants fraudulently, using fake documents, false information, or collecting multiple grants under different names. And yes, we must acknowledge that this kind of abuse does exist. Every system will have those who try to cheat it. But the real question is, why punish the innocent majority for the actions of a few bad actors? Instead of strengthening the outreach and support for legitimate beneficiaries, it feels like SASSA is shifting the burden onto the very people who are least equipped to navigate the system. Pensioners, single mothers, the disabled. These are not criminals. They're citizens who have contributed to this country and who now deserve support. If anything, the crackdown should be matched with real assistance. Mobile support teams, community workshops, translation services for people who speak isiZulu, isiXhosa, Afrikaans, and other local languages. But we're not seeing that. Instead, we're seeing silence from officials, confusion among the public, and a rising sense of fear. Let's also be real about the bigger picture. South Africa's economic challenges are deepening. Unemployment remains one of the highest in the world. The cost of living crisis is pushing more and more families into poverty. And with each passing month, the demand on the social grant system grows. This crackdown, whether the government admits it or not, is also about tightening the budget. The Treasury is under pressure, and cutting down the number of people receiving grants, even if it's through technicalities, is one way to reduce expenditure. But here's the thing, a grant is not a luxury. For millions of South Africans, it is the only thing keeping them afloat. It's the only reason there's food on the table. It's the only way medications are bought, school fees are paid, or electricity is topped up. Removing a grant, even for 1 month, can cause irreversible harm, especially for seniors who don't have the physical strength or the opportunities to replace that income elsewhere. This is why we must start having these conversations openly, publicly, and with honesty. We cannot allow changes like this to happen quietly in the background. People need to know their rights, they need to understand the process, and they need to be equipped to fight back if their grants are unfairly stopped. So what can you do right now? First, make sure you have all your documents in order. Even if you haven't received any notice from SASSA yet, get ready. Go to your local SASSA office, ask if your details are up to date, and check whether you need to re-verify anything. Second, talk to others in your community. Many older South Africans live alone or feel isolated, especially in rural areas. Sharing this information could prevent someone else from losing their grant. Also, be cautious of scammers. Sadly, every time a policy change like this happens, criminals take advantage. They'll call you pretending to be from SASSA, asking for your ID number, your bank details, even your PIN. Never, under any circumstances, give this information out over the phone. SASSA does not operate like that. If you receive a suspicious message or phone call, report it immediately. Better yet, go in person to your nearest SASSA office to clarify any doubts. Another thing to consider is appealing. If your grant is suddenly stopped or reduced, you have the right to appeal. Many people don't know this, or they give up because the process feels too complicated. But don't let the bureaucracy scare you. Ask for help from local NGOs, community centers, or legal aid organizations. There are people out there who can walk you through the process, step by step. This moment is critical. South Africa is facing serious choices about how it cares for its people, especially its elders. And while we understand the need to maintain the integrity of the system, we cannot accept a reality where the most vulnerable are punished because of poor communication or rushed policy enforcement. We must hold SASSA accountable. We must demand transparency. And above all, we must stand together. The more informed you are, the better protected you are. So if you've watched this far, share this video with someone you know, a friend, a neighbor, a fellow churchgoer, someone who might not know what's coming on July 15. This is more than just a policy update. This is about dignity, survival, and justice for millions of South Africans. And while the challenges are great, so is our power when we stay informed, united, and vigilant.